Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Code, and we're keeping it geekly with our new guest, Rob Multari. We're here to break down Nightwolf and everything in between. Rob, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today?
Good. Very good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on the show and you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I am ready to howl at the moon. But before we do that, let's begin with the basics. And that is who you are and how you got into creating comics.
Right on. Yeah. So my name is Rob Multari. For those of you who don't know me, I am the creator, writer of Nightwolf and the spin-off series Snowpaw. I'm a self-publisher through my imprint, Lone Wolf Comics. So I started getting into comics at an early age when I first started learning to read. I'm dyslexic and have attention deficit disorder, and I had difficulty learning to read. And my mother kind of brought, this kind of she basically bought me these comic books to try and see if that would help. The first comics that she ever gave me were there was the Untold Tales of Batman it came along with a cassette tape. I mean, this is back in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
So it was like actors acting out the word bubbles and stuff. So I was able to listen to the actors and follow along with the word bubbles to kind of get context with what's going on in the story, as well as learning the words and stuff. So there was a lot of that going on. And then also as incentive for me to try harder in school and be good, she basically said, hey, I'll give you 3 comic books a week. You get to pick them as long as you're good. Your grades stay up. So that's kind of basically it was her way of getting me to try harder and work at it. And, it was also a good tactic because the word bubbles themselves being in context with the story, and in short, little doses, because it wasn't it's not like a book where everything's paragraph form and it's basically just one giant block of text, so being able to break that up and was very helpful for me. And, that's where my collecting started. And from there, I years of collecting comics, and I really wanted to do, something of my own. And I started writing X-Men fan fiction in about when I was 13, 14, and I had sent in it was a big script for kind of a crossover event. I created my own X-Men spinoff team and had it, one of those crossover events.
Ooh, what was the name of the team? You gotta give us the name.
Well, it was the Exterminators, which I found out later on that they incorporated, they have actually done with that name, but I was like, but whatever,
Did they do before or after with the name though?
Well, I think there was so I found out in the early 80s, there was, I think, a 4-part mini series with Boom Boom right before she joined the New Mutants, or not the Mutants, before she joined X-Force. I was around that time period, or even earlier than that, I think, when they first introduced her character. But it was again, it was just a very short thing, so it wasn't it had been there. But then I found out later, more recently, they've actually done another series with that title.
I was gonna say, how awesome would it be for young Rob to be directly involved for the?
I know, right? Yeah. That would have been amazing. But whatever it is, at the end of the day, I got a very kind rejection letter from Marvel saying, hey, we appreciate it. We encourage you to keep up the great work, but we can't use your storylines because we're already plans in so far in advance, with how our, storylines work. But really for a 13, 14-year-old, that's holy crap, Marvel saying, telling me to keep up the good work. I'm going to do it, And I started just turning it inward and doing my own comics, my own characters. And that's where it all started.
That's so awesome. I love how your mom used comics as an incentive. I did the same thing with my kids. With my kids, we really hampered down on screen time here, and playing games and everything. And if they wanted more of that, they had to read a book to earn that. So I love how they use reading as a means to get where you want to get. Because it's as a parent, as a kid, you think you're winning, but as the parent, you're no, I'm actually winning.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I actually use the same trick with my kids learning, not with the comics as much. I mean, I've been giving them comics, but it was more so for them to be able to earn screen time and video game time. They had to read an hour not even like a day. It was an hour a week as they were younger, and then it got to be more and more. Then it was an hour a day, and then the summertime I was like, listen, you got to finish this book this week before you get.
I've read something too, like comics, the way they're written, often have a more advanced vocabulary than books that children are normally used to reading in their age group. So like it's reading, but it's also giving them more like in-depth and more like, I guess, words they wouldn't be used to reading and words they wouldn't be used to being exposed to.
Yeah, I had an odd vocabulary as a kid because of comics.
A lot of pals and kapals.
Yeah, well, even like they're like, for example, like how Cyclops is always brooding.
Mm-hmm.
Like one time I was like, sitting somewhere, like we were at my aunt's for like Easter or something, and I was like in a totally different room than everybody else. Just I was an angsty teenager, so I was brooding, and I had like, they were like, hey, where's Rob? And I'm like, I yelled from the other room that I'm brooding, and they're like, what?
You like lift up your sunglasses and
I know, yeah, like
So how did all of this lead into Nightwolf? Nightwolf is a six-issue series that you wrote in 5 years. Congratulations on that. That is awesome. And you have a spin-off, Snowpaw. I'm interested in where that connected to. I'm guessing chapter 3, but I might be wrong.
Yeah. Well, so basically, so Nightwolf, I have 12 issues written for this particular story arc. So we're in the middle of it with issue 6, and issue 7 is coming out this spring on Kickstarter, shortly after this Kickstarter is over. And so to give the folks out there the spiel, if they don't know what Nightwolf is a story about a young man who finds out that he's born a werewolf, gets thrown into a supernatural war against demons, witches, vampires, other werewolves. And, basically this is this kid in high school who has a football scholarship. And he's, trying to, he's just a normal kid, and his entire life gets ripped away just because the misfortune of having werewolf DNA in his blood. So yeah, that's basically Nightwolf. And then Snowpaw, who becomes Nightwolf's mentor in his series, she does come into play in issue 3, and from there basically takes him under her paw, or wing, I guess to paraphrase, to basically train him how to be a werewolf and to, fight against this dark covenant who has been basically attacking him and his friends and family. And so she had become so popular among my wolf pack, which is what I call my audience, because I try to make it more of a community and not so much a business. You know what I mean? Like I try to get feedback from everybody and keep them involved and stuff. But yeah, so the wolf pack was howling for her basically, and so that's what developed the spin-off series for her, which Snowpaw is a story about her origin story in the 19th century Scotland, 200 years prior to the events of Nightwolf. And that basically shows her first transformation, what happened with her family, how she becomes who she is. And what's nice there is that I have 200 years to play with. So, there's a lot of time for a werewolf who has longevity to learn, to love, to laugh, to hate, to cry, all the emotions that, one tends to, that builds them up into the person they then become later on in life. And so we have this strong female character in the modern time with Nightwolf, and we get to go back and see where she starts and how she makes that journey into the present.
So do werewolves, are they immortal, in your world, or do they just live a long time, or is that Snowpaw's, special ability?
No, so they don't live forever. They're not immortal. They can be killed without silver. If you damage the heart, you damage the brain, they can be killed. But silver, they do have, an allergic reaction to it. Mm-hmm. So if, let's say they get cut by a regular sword or a knife, it heals instantly. If it's a silver sword, then they scar. It takes longer for it to heal. It's like a normal person. You know what I mean?
I like that approach as well. Not just letting them get killed instantly. Letting it it fester a little bit and get infected, scar up. That's a nice little touch.
Yeah. And then so they have longevity. So I see it as reverse dog years. Mm-hmm. How they say for every 1 human year they live 7 years. It's kind of reverse that, if you will.
We have
So,
our good friend Two Geeks Talking jumping into the chat. Woohoo to my two favorite creative people here. Hope you're doing good. Kurt, thank you for stopping in. Appreciate you helping us keep it geekly as well. So I love this universe so far. I love how your protagonist kind of had it all, and then it's just hell like just started raining down upon him. I mean, give us a little bit about this protagonist too. It seems like he kind of goes through hell throughout this series.
well, I wanted to so I guess the way I wanted to set up the story was, I wanted to put him up on that pedestal. Basically, I see him as like what I would have liked my high school experience to be, but it wasn't. It was like I wanted to be that guy, but I never was. So I think for that same instinct, like I wanted it to be like I wanted the rug swept up from underneath him. You know what I mean? I wanted to be, because I always think that like a good story starts with a great tragedy. Like a lot of stuff happens to him in the first couple issues, and so everything he knows is taken away, and he has to basically relearn how to cope with what's happening. And I think that it's kind of like a Batman moment. Bruce Wayne is born with a silver spoon, has no worries in life, and then that fateful night where his parents are taken away from him, and look what happened. So I kind of wanted to have like a story arc like that, but I did it relatively quickly, just so that like you could see where it started from, and how he's picking up, because I think that like for me it's more interesting to see the hero struggle and figure himself out, or herself, figure that themselves out as they move along. If they're already established, it's a little less interesting to me. So having that starting with everything and then having to relearn basically kind of how to walk in a manner of speaking, is way more interesting of a story to tell. And we as humans love to see the drama. It's no matter what, we want it. That's why I think people love horror movies. People love to be scared. People love to see the drama in drama TV series, action. We want to see what's going on, and we don't want it to be all that. I think that's why for me, I like some Superman stories, but to me, Superman is so, besides like his few Achilles heels, kind of boring, because he's going to swoop in, he's going to save the day, and it's just, he's Mr. Perfect, You
are going to love the Supergirl run. So Tom King's Supergirl run, I didn't have a chance to read it. I want to though, because I just the DCU slate, they announced they're going to be doing I think it's like a movie. And it's basically her time watching all of her people die. Oh, and like she comes to Earth jaded, and it's just like such a whole different take on it. It's such an awesome approach.
Yeah.
And so we are actually here, guys, to talk about an awesome plushie. We have a 12-inch plushie and 6 new covers that combined into one huge cover. Right there is the link. Be sure to check out this Kickstarter with us if you're able to back. We would love to see that. If you're not able to, simply putting it on Facebook or Twitter is 100% free. Word of mouth helps gets this out as far as possible. So 5 years, dude. Congratulations, for hitting this point in your career. Let's go ahead. We're going to switch over to our campaign. Show up that plushie again. Let's get a big look at it. Let me give you a little bit of the solo. That is adorable. So give us a little bit of a breakdown of what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this plushie basically came from a pinup art in my my volume 1 trade paperback by Megan Offert. She did the twin witches who were in the series kind of causing trouble. It basically was a nice sexy pinup in like lingerie style, like Halloween-esque kind of art, but they also had like this voodoo doll of Nightwolf in the pinup, and I was like, that's amazing, that's a nice touch, I love it. And then a lot of other people also resonated. They thought it was cute, even though the X's on the eyes, or and the fact that it's a voodoo doll, but it's the handcrafted, the cute look at people were like, dude, that would be amazing as a plushie. And I was like, all right, yeah, let's give it a shot, let's see what happens, and that's how this came to be. So I went back to Megan and I said, hey, can you do a the front, side, back profile with like the color scheme, and then we'll send it to so I worked with Skeleton Crew Studios for doing some of my merchandise, and they came back with this prototype, and it was like I didn't have any like there wasn't a lot of like revisions. It was like spot on to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
like based on the design. And I mean, 12 inches, it's nice and it's squishy but like firm, and it like the amount of embroidery on this, even like the details stitching around, like for like the patches are like they're embroidered on the outside, like the
Mm-hmm.
nose, yeah, like everything is the detail and quality of this thing came out so great. I'm very happy with how these turned out.
I
And
love it's 12 inches. Like I was trying to visualize in my head. It's like it looks way bigger than it sounds.
right, yeah, I mean it's it's so like for the size of it, I mean it's really cool. And I gave it to my daughter to play with, and she's like, when am I going to get it back? I'm like, after the campaign's done.
It's so funny. I have children as well, and I had my Keeping It Geekly shirt printed, and my daughter comes up to me and she's like, "Do you got a small?" And I'm like, "Why? Do you want one?" And like, I gave her one. She worked at school the next day. I was like, "Man, proud
That's
dad
awesome.
moment."
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's amazing when the kids get involved. I mean, now my two boys are 14 and 12, and they've been going to cons with me and helping me sell stuff. So that's been fun moments.
Oh, they probably love that as well. So
Yeah.
we are looking at Nightwolf Voodoo Doll 12-inch plushie and 6 new connecting covers, a cute and cuddly werewolf voodoo doll plushie toy inspired by the hit indie comic book series Nightwolf, and 6 new connecting covers. Currently at $7,580 of a $10,000 goal, with 105 backers and 7 days left to go. Congratulations. I mean, you're like right there, 75% of the way through.
Yeah,
Man, this is awesome. And I'm loving these covers too. So I mean, let's talk a little bit about the covers. Are these like kind of like the main theme, like the main like villain of each issue, or like who are we seeing on these covers?
Yeah, so each character on the cover is basically that's who's more involved in the issue. For example, Tartarus for issue 1, you see him mostly in issue 1. He comes into play a lot more in the second half of the story arc, but he's introduced into issue 1, so he played a big part there. I felt like, okay, it was a no-brainer to have him there. The twin witches who are on issue 2, they dominate that entire issue with a lot of the things that they got going on. And then issue 3, basically, Black Claw is kind of like the Sabretooth to my Wolverine being Nightwolf. So he plays a big part in issue 3 and what happens there. Issue 4, it's Snowpaw. She gets introduced in issue 3, but in issue 4, she really starts to play a bigger part, and starting to take him under her wing. And issue 5 is his training, so it's a lot more focused on like what him becoming this werewolf and what to do with this mysterious kinetic energy power which only he possesses. And then issue 6 is Vampiress Anne Marie. This is her debut as this vampire character, and she basically takes it to Nightwolf. There's a part where Nightwolf and Snowpaw kind of like get tricked apart, if you will, and so Snowpaw has kind of got her attention elsewhere while the vampires come in and try to capture Nightwolf.
So, what was I gotta ask, because I mean it had to been somewhat of a challenge. What was this like? Writing this series, while having ADD and dyslexia. What was that like a challenge for you?
Yeah, for me, like at this point, I think it's I'm still terrible at spelling. Don't get me wrong, like I have to have my wife proof everything before sending it off to an editor. But the story's still there. For me, like I definitely I could tell a story like in talk. If I could just tell the story vocally, I would. But I try to put it as best as I can down on paper. Luckily, spell check covers a lot of my butt. Then my wife, will fix it up for me. So that's a blessing. That she's supportive and helps there. But yeah, I mean, like my imagination's so vivid. Like I have to, and my hands, like I'm a decent enough artist, but I'm not this good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to hire somebody and be able to tell them, exactly what I'm visually seeing in my head, because it plays out in my head like a movie, or like a TV series, like, you know, like it's actually like real time when I'm thinking about it and how it's going. I'm creating the dialogue. I'm hearing, you know, like what the voices sound like, or who as an actor I can hear speaking in these voices, you know? So that's kind of like how I mentally do it. And then I write it down as best I can, as descriptive as I can, hand it off to my wife. And then we hand it off to a story editor. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of like how my process of writing works. But yeah, I mean, you know, doing it, like I've been practicing and doing it for so long that, you know, it grew, kind of developed my process as I started, you know, writing as a teen, working my way through high school. And, you know, a lot of it comes too from like, I had to deal with that all through high school. I had to deal with it all through college. I had to do, you know, it's something that I learned to basically not so much ignore, but learn how to get around it. And similar, like with my ADD, like I feel like I can use, I have been able to master it as a superpower, because I can multitask like no other.
You know, it's funny you say that. Like, my girlfriend will walk in on me. It'll be like 2:30 in the morning. I have a podcast on this screen. I'm editing right here. I'm listening to a second podcast on my phone. Usually have a game up on my on my TV, and like I have my little system, you know. And she sees it, and she's like, I don't know, how are you doing this? Like,
yeah, right, yeah. It's not about focusing. It's about spreading the focus so that when you start, you know what I mean? Because like you can see that, like the screen here, I have I have 2 other screens attached to a PC laptop, and then I have this Mac that I'm on right here. So like I'm able to like go between everything like a little station.
We have Immortal Rising comic book over on YouTube, stopping in to hype up the chat as well. Welcome to the stream, Immortal. Everyone that is watching right here is the link to check out this Kickstarter with us. Right now, we're kind of going through some of these previews. Who is the creative team involved on this with you? I know you said you had your wife help you with some of the spell checking and editing, but in terms of like, you know, your artist, your colorist, your letterer, you know, who all are you working with?
Yeah, so the main illustrator for the series is Carlos Herrera. He's out of Chile. And the main colorist of the series is Gat Melvin. He's out of South Africa. And the 3 of us work together to basically get it from, you know, from the script to the colors. And then I take the script and I'm the letterer. I'm a graphic and web designer by trade. So putting books together is, you know, one of the things that I get to do. And for me, I don't get to do a lot of fun stuff, you know, with graphic design. So this is my like kind of like outlet that I get to play with.
Do you find yourself being too much of a perfectionist with it, or
sometimes? Yeah. When I put myself under the gun, like for example, I don't like to go live until the book is 100% print ready before I go to a Kickstarter. So if I set a date for a Kickstarter, I kind of force myself to not pick. I'm like, all right, you know what this, you know, if I have extra time to play with, I will. But, you know, for me, it's also like I work well under pressure, and I know when I can limit myself by doing that.
So we have not only FBI agents in this, but vampires. I mean, what all is the protagonist going to be going up against in this series?
I mean, but he's going against hell, man. Hell's coming. You know, so he's got like, you know, demon hunters, which basically, you know, supernatural hunters. He hunts demons, witches, vampires, werewolves, all that. I mean, Nightwolf goes against, you know, all of those said creatures as well. I mean, you know, they're all part of the universe. I mean, there's fantasy creatures that you can see in here on these test tubes that are in the world. So that's something that like I'm opening up to more after the story arc. He'll be learning a lot more of what his eyes are open to as far as what he didn't know existed, you know, or assumed didn't. It was just a story, you know, kind of stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, the main focus now is basically, you know, him getting to the point where he's ready to start kind of standing on his own 2 back paws. Yeah, and you can see the training sequence between Snowpaw and him up there. Basically, she's not afraid to put him in his place either, and I think that's what a lot of people love about her, is that she's a, you know, a good spirit, but still has that I don't give a shit attitude.
I'm loving, you know, these interiors. These are gorgeous. I also love how you guys balance the action with just like the right amount of gore too, nothing too over the top. but enough to kind of keep you going. I right here too, the wielding the sword and the shotgun, like this is such a badass moment.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I always loved the idea of still being able to have swords in like a modern time, you know. So I think, you know, for that's why in The Walking Dead, when like Michonne's got like her katana and then like also has like, you know, a gun, I thought that was always like, why you know, why isn't there more of this, you know? What? So they need to bring swords back.
All right, so let's check out some of these rewards. We have a $5 or more, you can get the Night Wolf Digital Deluxe Introduction. So issue 1. For 23 or more, you get the Night Wolf Digital Catch-Up. So that's going to get you all 6 issues. An outstanding price. How many pages per issue are we expecting?
So the digital catch-up, you will get the volume 1, which is issues 1 through 4, but it also has 16 additional story pages. As well as pinup art and cover art. So that the volume 1 is 152 pages, and then you get issue 5 and issue 6, which are both 24 pages.
Okay. And then we have the 25 or more.
Yeah,
Lone Wolf Comics. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you take the wheel.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so this is a Lone Wolf Comics sampler, if you will. You get the physical copy of issue 1 of Night Wolf and issue 1 of Snowpaw. So if you basically just kind of want to dip your toes in and see if you like the series, and then get hooked and come back.
And we have at 29 or more the Lone Wolf Digital Collection. So is this going to be everything you have digitally?
Yes, so that's basically you get all of the Night Wolf and you get all of the Snowpaw that's out currently. So that would be Snowpaw issues 1 and 2 and Night Wolf volume 1, issue 5 and issue 6.
And then we have the Night Wolf doll plushie. So you get this at 45, and I'm going to just scroll up here so you guys can get a look at this plushie as well, because this thing is gorgeous. It makes me jealous. And anytime I see merch like this, I'm like, man, I need a little Keeping It Geekly plushie. Yeah, this thing is gorgeous. Look at this. I love, like, you know, it has the little belly too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, yeah, I mean, the way she designed it from start to finish, Megan did an amazing job. I have to give her a lot of credit too. I met her at my first Comic-Con in Pittsburgh, and her and I have been friends ever since. And, you know, I go to her for like pinups. She's done cover art for Snowpaw. She does my chibi stickers, and you know, obviously she's done this. Her and I are actually in works and talking about doing a kid's board book featuring like kind of like an origin story to this voodoo doll. It kind of taking my characters and Muppet babying them to, like, you know. So
that's cool.
So it's like you have the characters, but like they're like kid versions, and you know, so it's something fun for that. I think my daughter and other kids her age would be able to get into and enjoy.
So at 65, we have the print catch-up, so you'll get the standard covers with this. We have at 85 or more, this is where you get the 1 through 6 connecting covers. So you get all 6 of these right here. It'll connect into one big image. Looked awesome on your wall. I mean, this is gorgeous. I love all these covers right here. And these are all done by
Carlos.
It looks Herrera. Like, yeah, the same artist too, so that's cool.
Yep. Yeah, so Carlos Herrera, again, he's the main illustrator for the book, but he does his own covers, whereas usually he'll do the illustration for the inside pages, but he will do all the coloring and everything for his cover. So he did an amazing job. He and I have been working together since the very beginning of like my starting to produce this series. Back in 2013 is when he and I first like connected on DeviantArt, and you know, he and I have become. There was a time where he stepped back and because he had a different job. It wasn't Magic the Gathering, but it was some other kind of a mythical card game.
Ooh, that's so cool though.
Yeah, and there was like a 2-issue period where I had to find a different illustrator, which was Bakuman Studios.
Not so cool for you, maybe.
Yeah. But you know, then in issue 4, Carlos came back, and it's been more of a partnership ever since. So I'm so happy to have him back.
That's awesome. And then we have you get the Night Wolf plushie and connecting covers at 125. And then we just have a slew of other tiers here. Let's go ahead. What's some of your favorites after the connecting covers and plushie? Yeah,
so I like the if you want to scroll all like more towards the bottom, some of the pictures, not there, there you go. That. So if you scroll down, you can actually see the pictures of the tiers, and I can talk a little bit more to it.
Perfect.
Yeah, so go to down a little bit. Yeah, keep going to the Omega tier, which is this one right here. So this one is cool because you get the original pinup that the Nightwolf plushie is featured on as a shirt. You also get the connecting covers on a hoodie, as well as getting the plush and the connecting covers and all the digitals. So I mean, that to me, I think that's a great one for a lot of people who just want to kind of get some swag, but also get into the series. It's good for collectors. It's good for people who want to jump in and get all the good stuff. So I think that's and it's not too overwhelming, as well. It's some of the higher tiers, of course, not everybody can get into, but this one I think is a good one for somebody who's just ready to rock it with the Wolfpack.
Get nice and comfortable with the shirt, the sweater, cuddle up with the plushie, and read issues 1 through 6 in comfort.
That's right.
What about this creator Kickstarter consulting tier? This looks like an interesting one.
Yeah, so basically I've run 9 Kickstarters, and most of them have been overfunded and into the 5 digits. So I thought, why not take my knowledge base, what I learned, how to build an audience, and give that knowledge to somebody who might be out there getting ready to launch their Kickstarter in the next 3 to 6 months. So it's not just a single session. It's a 1 hour session each. So basically 2 different days or times. The first hour would be basically getting to know what your project is, getting to know like what's going on, give a little bit of a critique, how, if your page is almost done, we can get into like a lot of the stuff, and then I can give you tips about audience building, about how to create a good looking page, stuff like that, and then how to kind of like tell, give a good elevator pitch and stuff like that. And then the second time, so at the end of that one, I plan on giving whoever I'm working with a kind of actionable items, what to do, and things to tackle before our next session. So our next session will then be seeing where they taking those actionable items and what they've done, and then kind of tweaking things, going into a little bit more detail into stuff, so to try and get them to be able to get further ahead with like the Kickstarter, the algorithm, and a lot of the the things that people are looking for as far as like to backing Kickstarters and how to build an audience and all that.
And I mean, a great price too. I mean, because you get the plushie and the covers. That's $125 deal right there. So I mean, you're only paying $125 per session. That's outstanding for what it could do to your Kickstarter. We have this looks like one hell of a deal right here too. The collector's mystery box. So
yes,
at $4.99.
That's right. Yeah. So at $4.99 you can get again, you get the plush, you get the connecting covers. That's a guarantee. The fun part of the mystery box is that you can get a mystery CGC. It could be either this one, or it could be maybe a Snowpaw, or issue 1, issue 2, issue 3 of Nightwolf, whatever. I have a bunch of boxes up top that you can't really see them, but on the top of my shelf back behind me are several boxes full of CGCs that I will just randomly put into a box, and as well as a bunch of high-end variant covers. So I have variant covers that run anywhere between $10 to $35, and so a lot of them will be a lot of the high-end ones that are rare. Will be a mystery inside these boxes as well.
Okay. That is so awesome. And then you get a nice little box for the comics as well.
That's right. Actually, I got the box over here. You can see. So this is the, it's a big box. I mean, this isn't, like, this is no joke. Like, this
I love
thing
the art on it too.
Thick.
Yeah, that thing's gorgeous. And then we have a couple other tiers too. We have the Wolfpack Alpha tier, and then we have the personal art commission as well. Dude, just holy crap, a slew of comics, slew of collectible merchandise.
Every single variant that I have.
It's gorgeous. And then the personal commission. So will Carlos draw anything, or what does this entail?
Yeah, I mean, it's so Carlos will do whatever you want. You could have it for a personal commission, you could have it for a cover, you could have it for whatever. I mean, it's whatever you want to do, and I'll he doesn't speak a lot of English, so I'll be the in between. But yeah, so it's whatever you want done. You could have a cover done. You could have if it's a retailer could have a cover done specifically for them. For Nightwolf or whatever you can have, or like the aspiring creator out there getting ready to launch a Kickstarter. Carlos's covers are hot, and people love them. So that's definitely a good thing to do. I've even had Wolfpack members who just love his art and wanted something done with his son and his wife. He had, so his wife was done as a vampire and his son was done as an FBI agent.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. We also have some add-ons right here too. You can get a nice little sketch cover for $10. It looks like that's one hell of a price. And then I love these two, the mini figures right here.
Oh yeah. Custom to look like the characters.
Yeah, this is so cool. I love your merch. Your merch is like just next level. We have some metal covers. These are gorgeous. And then some more sketch covers. I love dude. You have so much awesome like add-ons. Like I'm loving these original pages. These sketch covers too, and then these metal covers. Awesome Kickstarter, guys. Be sure to check it out right here. If you're unable to back, putting it on Facebook and Twitter is 100% free, and you have nothing to lose by helping spread the word. So after looking through that awesome Kickstarter, what would you like to say to anyone who might be on the fence about backing? And real quick, we have Immortal Rising saying very nice, so much merch. Yeah, the merch is just next level, man. It's killer.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, hey, there's if you're afraid to jump in, that's fine. Share, that's follow. I have if you want to go to lonewolfcomics.com/ offer, you can sign up for my email list and get a free issue just digitally to read, and if you want to try it out, or if you just want to dabble in it, like we said earlier, there's that sampler pack. There's plenty of ways to jump in. If you want to go ahead in, there's plenty of tiers to be able to get everything. Even like I said, with the standard retail, that's a good way to catch up and read the books, and or the digital ones. So that way, if you're not so much into a plushie, there's plenty of comics for you. If you are into the plushie but not in the comics, there you go. There's one for you just to get the plushie.
Plenty of plushies for you too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there'll be plenty of plushies to go around.
No, that's awesome, Rob. Thank you for swinging by. This has been one hell of a chat. Before I let you go, I have to scratch your brain one last time and ask for a little bit of advice for anyone who might be new and interested in getting into comics. So with that being said, for anyone who's looking to just get started but having trouble lacking motivation, what would you say to them to kind of help them just get enough juiced up to get started?
You know what? For writers, if you haven't started writing anything yet, the first step is just to start doing it. Start writing. Even if you don't have a good draft up front, a good puke draft is basically a good starting point. You can always edit later. Just write. And then for like any like artist out there, trying to get your name out, just do a lot of drawing and get your stuff out there. Put it out there so people can see it. And if you're a little more advanced than that, and haven't gone to Kickstarter yet, build up your audience. If you have stuff to show, that's it. Don't hide your stuff. Don't be afraid that somebody's going to like steal your ideas, because ideas, pretty much everything has been done before. But what's different is how you do it. And if you want people to follow you and show the interest in your stuff, you have to share it, build your audience, start an email list as soon as possible. And be constant with it. Don't just be like that guy who email, right before you go live on a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Right. Encourage your audience to talk to you.
I can't tell you how many times I've had people hit me up like, "Hey, Cody, I know you're pretty booked. Going live today. Can I get on your show sometime?" I'm like, man, like.
You couldn't even give me like a minute.
No, yeah, I think preparing for it is one of the best things you could do. Being better prepared helps you just ensure a smoother sail. So awesome advice, Rob. Everyone watching right here is the link. Check it out one last time and back if you're unable to back. I mean, $5 for a digital is off the rip. Like one issue is great. And then you can get issue 1 for free just by signing up. You said what was the website again? lonewolfcomics.com/offer. So you sign up for free and you get to read it for free. You have nothing to lose. Be sure to do that, guys. With that being said, it is time for us to wrap up. I hope you have a lovely Thursday afternoon, but most importantly, keep it geekly.